Welcome to KBA's Vendor Viewpoint podcast, where we bring together Kentucky bankers and the industry's top vendor solutions to discuss important topics that affect your bank. This is Selena Parrish, KBA Director of Membership, Products and Services. Today we are featuring KBA endorsed American Profit Recovery, a professional accounts receivable management company. With us today is Matt Moskowitz, one of the founders at American Profit Recovery. Matt is a seasoned professional in the receivables industry with a strong background in consulting with businesses. And also today we're pleased to have KBA member Tim Barnes. Tim is president and CEO of Hometown Bank in Corbin. And Matt, we'll just let you kick it off. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Tim, for being with us today. Matt, tell the audience all the great things about APR and how you're helping our member banks.
Well, I thank you for the intro. When you say seasoned veteran, that's a very, very polite way to say I'm old.
Oh, well,
Seasoned, I'm
you're
very seasoned,
experienced.
very, very seasoned. Hey, I just want to thank you very much for doing these podcasts, and we certainly appreciate you highlighting American Profit Recovery this month.
You're
And
welcome.
Tim, I got to say thank you for letting me rope you into this. Thank you, buddy.
I'll send you the bill later, Matt.
It's
Uh,
great.
Perfect. Well, hey, I thought I'd start with just a quick background on myself. So I started way, way back when as a loan officer at a small finance company right out of college. And I did that for a couple years. So I was actually able to learn the lending side, by taking applications, running credit bureaus and credit
Mhm.
checks and booking the loan and closing the loan and then eventually I had to collect on some of those loans. So and then back in May of 1992,
Wow.
A few
um,
years ago.
dang Tim, that's a long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
In May of 1992, I started consulting for a third party collection company. So I am actually coming up in May, my 33rd anniversary
Oh,
in this
congratulations.
industry. Crazy, crazy to think about.
I'm sure nothing's changed in 33 years
No,
either.
nothing at all. No
Oh my
laws, no
gosh.
nothing. It's just exactly the same. So American Profit Recovery, we were founded actually in September of 2004 is when we started
Okay.
going at it. So we actually just celebrated our 20th year in business this last year. So we're very proud of that. Obviously, we've grown the business over the years. We work with uh, probably just over 5,000 businesses throughout the US. And then obviously, banks are one of the industries that we do quite a bit of work in. So I was looking this up. We actually work with over 250 financial institutions throughout the US. Unfortunately, that used to be probably four to 500. And
Mergers and
with all the
acquisitions.
mergers and
Yeah.
acquisitions, that's kind of dwindled down a little bit. But and then we were just discussing this, but I believe we've been partnered with KBA since early 2005. So I
Mhm.
think we go all the way back there. So we're coming up on 20 years with KBA as well.
Yeah. Thank you for taking care of our members. We greatly
Yeah, and
appreciate it.
I do want to say KBA's just been a very special relationship for us. I've had the privilege of meeting so many great people throughout this relationship, both staff and obviously members of KBA. So the quick version of what we offer for the banks is unlike most agencies that are out there, we actually specialize in the DDA charge-off collections.
Okay.
So what you'll find is most collection agencies out there look to the banks for the loan portfolios, bigger balances, just higher payoffs for them. And then they may take the DDA collection just as a courtesy, but really they're focused on going after the loan portfolios where we actually specialize. We focus on the DDAs. And then we can do the loans and other departments for the banks, but really the DDAs is our specialty. So what differentiates us, I guess, is really we just offer a very diplomatic and low cost alternative to what most people think of as traditional collections. And we're really designed to do, well, several things, but a few things in particular for the banks. So I guess first and foremost, just because of our approach and our diplomacy, we're able to not only collect, but potentially keep those customers at the bank as opposed to losing them down the road and using us as a last resort type of tactic. Secondly, because of our low cost alternative, so we charge no more than $24 per account instead of a percentage of what's collected, like most agencies are out there. So because of that low cost, it's much more affordable to outsource the accounts to us instead of having to give up a percentage of that money. Third, I guess just the combination of those, it just our clients are much more comfortable and it's more feasible to use us sooner in the whole collection process. Well, the added benefit to that is we're able to save the banks some money internally of not having to pay those collectors to keep chasing and chasing, especially since the feedback we get is those collectors are a little bit more going after the bigger balance loan portfolios
Yes.
and delinquent loans opposed to chasing these, few $100 DDA accounts. So, um, and then I guess one other added benefit is we are, I believe, the only agency that has an interface with check systems. So we're actually able to do the reporting on behalf of the bank, which further saves some time and money internally for them. So we can do that on their behalf. The ultimate goal is just to collect more and then potentially keep those customers at the bank if the bank chooses to keep those to keep those customers.
Yeah.
So there's the short version.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it sounds like every bank in Kentucky needs to use American Profit Recovery. And Tim, tell us all the great things that Hometown Bank has realized with the work that Matt and his team have done for you there at Hometown.
I think the key is that um, we really don't view them any different than being, you know, actually on staff for us because, and
Yep.
this is hard to, to believe, but I think we were one of the first banks that Matt had in Kentucky. We've been with them 20 years, the 1st of March. And in that
Congratulations.
20 years, now my memory's not as good as what it used to be, but I do not remember a single complaint from a someone that they're collecting from calling me and saying, "Hey, they're heavy-handed" or such. That's just not the way that APR works. And we have a great relationship with them. And again, they do everything from like Matt said, into the check system. So any reporting is already done. But it's just been a tremendous relationship. Um, Very good all the way around. And like I said, we consider them a partner. Uh, and I really don't know how we would do it without them.
Wow, that's great. And it does sound like, is there a certain time when you make that decision to do a charge off? And why
Yeah, I
does
mean,
a
I think
bank pick a certain time to do a charge off?
right. Our policy, after 30 days, we offer them our
Okay.
repayment plan, and then at the 46th day, somewhere in that neighborhood. Again, I don't think we're stuck on days, but it's 45, 46 days that if they've had time to correct that repayment plan or
Mhm.
to sign what documents are required. If not, then somewhere between that 45 and 60 days, we turn it over to Matt. Obviously, as Matt said, the quicker you turn it over, the better luck you're going to have recovering. We
So,
also, as Matt said, we'll throw a bone out there every once in a while on another loan. And they do a great job on that as well. It's just not their specialty, and it's not something we do a lot of, but we do that as well.
is there a
Excuse me.
is there a limit to the volume of um I guess how you use a package for the banks, Matt? Does a bank buy like a package of the account recoveries from you? Is that how you
Yeah,
structure that?
yeah, it's so our pricing is based on volume.
Okay.
So the cost is actually for KBA members, it's no more than $24 per
Yeah.
account. The $24 would be for a pretty low volume uh, bank. So they may be only charging off
Mhm.
one checking account
That
per
that's what
month.
we do. We just charge
Yeah,
off one, just one,
just one.
just one.
Uh,
Yeah.
And then obviously the pricing can go down from there. So, some banks have hundreds of accounts a month
Oh,
that they charge
sure.
off, and
Okay.
unfortunately, some have thousands of accounts a month. And then
Okay.
we work with smaller banks that literally only have one account per month.
Yeah.
So we have different price breaks for the volume. Our pricing is based on a 2-year plan. So we don't let anyone lock into a price for any longer than that, just in case we need to up our prices via postage or
Mhm.
just some of our overhead costs that increase over time. So, but we do allow the banks to lock in for a maximum of 2 years. And based on how many accounts they have each month, we'll kind of design a program for them and throw some pricing options, based on that volume.
Can you tell our audience about the laws and regs that have changed over the past, what, few years or a few months? I
Well,
guess
well,
it's like the banking
Tim,
industry. Every
yeah,
day
well,
something seems to change,
That's
but
Monday.
yeah, I
yeah.
know. I know.
Well, so Ballard had a really nice article in the January February issue, kind of talking about January February of last year, I believe. So
Yes.
kind of talking about some of that, and one of the brilliant Tim and I were kind of talking about this the other day. One of the brilliant ideas that the CFPB had was to allow a maximum charge of $5 that the bank can charge a consumer for
Hmm.
overdrawing an item, at the bank. And you know, backing up a little bit further, so I go back to the point where there wasn't overdraft privilege programs. It was you didn't have the money to cover that check, and the bank rejected that item. The consumer then would get an NSF at the retailer. So call it the grocery store or Target or Walmart or wherever. So here they're getting bounce check for the retailer. The retailer's charging them an NSF fee. The bank was charging an overdraft fee, and the consumer was getting double whacked.
Exactly.
Two charges. And where I used to work with the banks there was, there was just some fee revenues that they were not able to capture. So the person returned 10, 15, however many items, it kind of snowballed a little bit. And we were helping capture some of that fee revenue for the banks. But then the whole ODP explosion happened. And Tim, you can chime in, but it was a fantastic product for the consumers.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
think the key is for the consumer is it's something they want.
It's
Uh,
something they want. Yeah.
we've never had a letter that says, "Hey, take that away." We've had letters that said, "Thank you for covering." I was in a rough spot. They were getting ready to turn my electric off or my water off, and I appreciate you covering that check. Uh, that's the thing that I don't think the CFPB thinks about is uh, what it does to the consumer and how it helps the consumer. And Matt and I were talking the other day. It's there's no common sense left, and if you're on a diet that tastes good, spit it out. That's the mentality we've got, and I don't think that's good for the consumer.
Yeah, and by the way, I've been at many, many banking conferences throughout the US, and there's been guest speakers that come from the Office of Financial and Insurance Regulation, and they even admit, a lot of them that this is something the consumers really want. So, way back when the explosion happened, everyone was just automatically enrolled. So it was a great thing. I think it was a win-win across the board. The retailers didn't have to worry near as much about NSFs. The consumers weren't going through the embarrassment of getting an NSF. They weren't getting double whacked with the fees from both the retailer and the bank. And then the law changed to where now consumers have to opt in to this program. So there were some changes there. Some people just didn't understand it, so they wouldn't opt in, um, so on and so forth. And then recently, the proposal is to reduce the fees that the bank's allowed to charge to $5. And they're starting with the bigger banks, I believe 10 billion and over in assets. But the rumor is that's trickling down to the community banks. Unfortunately, what that's going to do, is probably the banks aren't going to be really able to afford to offer this kind of program. I mean,
Yeah.
$5 doesn't cover a whole lot from a staffing and administration type of cost. So we're going to be back to 30 years ago, right? 25, 30 years ago, where they're going to start getting NSF checks with the retailers again. And it's just not really a good thing.
Not to get
Yes.
political, but one thing we have to realize is there's a new sheriff in town, and the CFPB is under a little bit of heat. So,
Very,
hope
very much under heat. Yes.
hopefully, this will turn around. Not as much for the banks, but especially for the consumer. It really is something that they want and need.
When a KBA member decides that they want to sign up with APR, how fast can you activate a bank's account relationship with APR?
It takes an entire week,
Okay. You're quick.
maybe
That's
two,
good.
maybe
That's
two.
good. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a really quick turnaround. So really, all we need to do is when we get them set up is uh, get them into our web interface. So we got to get username and passwords set up for them so they're able to log in. Our web interface is very slick, so you're able to submit accounts, able to report payments as they come in. So our tier one program, which is this low cost alternative, 100% of any money collected goes straight back to the bank. So we don't take any percentage of that collection. So the bank then is responsible to obviously report that payment to us.
Okay.
They're able to see everyone that they've submitted. They're able to look at where they are in the collection process. There's some customized reporting features within that interface. So really the time to get everything set up is just, getting the client entered and getting those username and passwords. So it's a very quick turnaround, week to two.
That's
Selena, the
great.
hardest part of dealing with American Profit Recovery is learn how to spell Matt's last name. So
That's
once you
right.
learn how to
Okay.
That's
do
right.
that, that's about a
Yeah.
2 week process. But
It's a
once
good,
you learn to
Okay.
spell the last name, you're good.
it's
Yeah.
a good
By the end
good
of the
Irish
first
name.
2 weeks, they know how to spell his last
Yeah,
name. I like
yeah,
it. Yes.
It's a good Irish name, right, Tim?
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, well, and we greatly appreciate all the support that APR provides to the KBA. I know you're at so many of our events and you attend and you get to network with our member banks. And I think that's so important for any relationship is to have that handshake opportunity to meet and greet the bankers of Kentucky and KBA members. And so we
Yeah.
we do appreciate you doing that with
Really,
us.
Matt's one of the nicer people that you will run into in this industry, and always has a nice word to say about everybody, and it's just fun to be around. And on top of that, he's got a great product.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
And
And I buy you
obviously,
drinks at the free drink place.
Oh,
oh,
I hadn't
that's
thrown
even
that in
better.
yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Well,
no,
as
it's
we
been
wrap,
I don't get out as much as I used to. So we used to go to a lot of the trade shows, and there's certain ones that I've chosen to continue to go to. and KBA is definitely one of those. It's one of the events that I truly enjoy
Thank you.
coming to see friends.
Good.
A lot of the clients have just become friends, and
Yeah.
yeah,
That's what happens
it's
after
special for
20
us.
years,
That's
right?
exactly right.
I
Yeah.
know.
I
Yeah.
love it. That's great. Well, Matt, tell our audience what is the best way for them to get in contact with you
So
if they would like to learn more about APR?
so go through Tim, call Tim, and then
Okay.
no, I'm just kidding.
I think that's perfect.
606-526-27.
Uh, no, they can either call. So we do have a toll-free number. It's 800-711-0023, and they can ask for me directly. Or obviously, they can certainly email me as well. And that is Matt, M-A-T-T, dot, that famous last name that Tim was talking about, Moskowitz. That's Moskowitz. So Matt.Moskowitz at AmericanProfit.net. And profit, Tim, is PROFIT, not PROPHET.
Thank you. How old were you when you could spell your last name? Third grade?
I was in college, I
Oh,
think.
there you go.
I love it. I love it. And if anybody in the audience missed the spelling or missed the phone number, please go to KBA's website at kybanks.com. And we have a page dedicated to APR, and it's got Matt's contact information out there on KBA's website. But Matt, Tim, thank you so much for being with us today to record our podcast and tell our audience about American Profit Recovery. Audience, this podcast is a wrap, and we greatly appreciate you listening today. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Steve.